Coming up on today's episode.
Right, so have a chat with someone. It doesn't have to be a buyer's agent. Just have a chat with someone that's bought 5, 6, 7 properties. And if you notice, that's only about 3% of the investors that bought that many properties. Normally, it's the mum and dad that's bought 1 or 2, and then they stop. I understand that APRA wasn't around when I was purchasing those amounts of property.
Yeah.
But there is ways around serviceability, and that needs a special type of person to help you through that. And so just have a chat. I mean, how much is it going to cost you to have a chat?
Dodgy advice and bad decisions can cost you big in real estate. We're here to make sure that doesn't happen. Welcome to the No BS Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Agresta, and it's time to take control of your property journey together.
Hi, I'm Harry from Harry's Homes. I've been on the No Bullshit podcast talking about your indecision stopping you from making money.
Welcome back, everyone, to the No BS Real Estate Podcast, your listening how-to guide to the Aussie finance and real estate market. I'm your host, Joe Agresta. Now, buying property isn't hard because people are lazy or incapable. It's hard because people get overwhelmed, flooded with advice, and paralysed by the fear of making the wrong decision. Today's episode is about indecision to buy. Why smart, capable people sit on the fence for months or even years, and how waiting can quietly cost them more than acting imperfectly. And my guest today is Harry from Harry's Homes. Harry is a buyer's advocate who's built wealth through property over time and now helps people move forward when they feel stuck. So Harry, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Joe. It's really great to be here. I'm excited to give some information out to our audience.
Oh, I know, because before we even hit record, you started talking. I'm like, save it for the podcast. Just shh. Like, we need to capture that.
We've got to get it on tape.
Yeah, we got to get it on tape. Everything's recorded in here because the value that you bring, Harry, and this is why I wanted you on the show, the value that I get from you when I have a conversation, especially your story, I know that our listeners are going to appreciate it because you've been exactly in the spot that they've been in before.
Absolutely been in that spot. Indecisions, listening to other people's advice, waiting for the right time, worried about family fighting over property. I've been through all the negatives of why not to buy, not finding the one reason why to buy.
Well, this is exactly what we're going to go through today with Harry, and we're going to kick off firstly with our no BS statement. So before we dive in, let's see what today's statement is. So we're going to come back to this statement at the end of the episode and see if we're going to brand it bullshit or not bullshit. Today's statement is, if you're waiting for the perfect property, the perfect time, or the perfect confidence, you'll be waiting forever. Indecision costs more than getting it wrong. So we'll come back to that at the end and let's see how the conversation with Harry goes.
Great question.
Yeah, I can't wait to unpack it. So I guess, like I said, Harry, all good stories start with the beginning, like, your background. And it's important that we understand who you are and why we're hearing from you, because you've got a wealth of experience, not just because you're an advocate, but because you've done it yourself for many years, over a long period of time. You've got your own portfolio. So before property became a serious focus for you, what did life actually look like for you?
Well, life looked like 2 children and no money and a lot of work and not much social life, but played a lot of cards with my uncle and families, so we wouldn't go out. So life looked a little bit not where I wanted it to be.
Oh, it's interesting that, you say not that you wanted it to be. So you, at that point in time, like what was, where did you kind of get to that next step for yourself, like getting into property? Where did that begin?
So always wanted to be a farmer. So my dad bought me a small farm in Narnagoon. 120 acres, and we did value adding. We rebuilt everything. So from home renovation to fencing, to water troughs, to pasture improvement. And then I thought Narnagoon was a little bit far out, so we sold that and we went to Pakenham. And at that time I got married, and then Dad died suddenly, so it was sold. So it was 176 acres, 3 kilometres out of Pakenham.
Wow.
Wish we had it today, guys. So, Anyway, it's a
Hindsight's a
hard
wonderful
decision
thing.
when I drive past it.
I could imagine. Hindsight's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, hindsight's a beautiful thing. And also delayed gratification is where it's at in property.
Yeah. Well, my dream's always been to be on a farm. So it's interesting that that's always been my next step, or like my wind down step with my partner, that we just want to have a lot of animals, really. That's all.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah. And I think that's where I'm like, not yet.
Yeah.
I've got too much on my plate.
40 acres or 400 acres is the same amount of work.
But it would have been such a nice place to be. And and it would have been tough also losing your dad and then having to move on the property. And I think this is a position that a lot of people get into, when life happens. It's not something that people can plan for.
You can't plan for the unexpected.
Yeah.
It's really how fast you bounce back from the unexpected. And that can take you anything from a lifetime to 10 minutes. It's up to your mindset, and it took me a while. I thank a lot of reading and a lot of education to move me through that phase of my life.
Good on you. I think that's a really awesome thing that you just said. You're choosing the time, what's your mindset? And I think this is so on brand for today's topic, because this indecision to buy is mindset, I think, sometimes.
Yeah, well, the indecision to buying is one of the things that stops a lot of people from actually purchasing a property. I know finance, arranging the money, it's gone 5,000 over your maximum, is a problem. But to make that final decision is like you've listened to a neighbour, it's too dear. You've listened to the bloke at the barbecue, it's the wrong house. Get some real advice. I mean, not so much me, someone that's stood the test of time.
Yeah, that's got a proven track record. So
that's right.
It doesn't necessarily have to be an advocate, but at a lot of the times, that's the whole point, and this is why when I'm talking on this show with our guests, I'm like, talk to an advocate. You might just get a conversation that changes your mindset completely. Maybe that's all you need.
I get just as much pleasure out of talking to somebody and making them move than actually making any money out of it, because I know they've actually made a decision, and a good decision. So, and
we'll get into that too. And I guess, at this stage in your life, you were thinking about building wealth, and you said you weren't, exactly where you wanted to be. You've sold the farm at this point. How did you kind of go? What was that? Was there a moment or an aha moment that went, I'm going to start investing in property and build my portfolio?
Yeah, there was an aha moment. I was at a convention, and a chap named Sean O'Reilly talked about his life experiences, and he was a school teacher in Warrigal, headmaster, and he ended up with about 20 properties in Warrigal.
Wow.
And I went to him after reading his book. He had his phone number on the back of the book, and I asked him, what am I doing wrong? And I drove to Warrigal. We had lunch together. I took him some seafood, and we had a chat, and he said, you're doing it all wrong, Harry. I said, okay, what do I need to do? So I took his advice, and it's put me into 7 properties in 3 states.
Far out. Well done.
And there weren't apartments or townhouses, they were houses.
That's huge.
Yeah.
So this is we're going back. That's the conversation that changed your mindset and has put you in the position you're in today.
Yeah. He related a lot. I related a lot to him. He came off a farm in the Western District.
Yeah.
His father had a sheep property. He won a lot of shows. I won a lot of shows in the Hereford cattle. And I just resonated with him, and he said, just, look, buy something with land.
Yeah.
And I did. So that was my, first property was 1,200 square metres in Seaford. We built 3 units, and then we moved from there. We bought a partnership in Bond Beach. Didn't know how to raise the finance for that one. Sold that one. Bought in Footscray, Oakhurst, Brisbane. And I've learned something over the years, is that they can sit and wait for 8 to 10 or 12 years, and then all of a sudden it'll explode in price.
Yeah.
So you need to be patient.
Mm-hmm.
Patience is not our greatest contribute to the human race.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah, we want that test lotto, but
yep.
Be patient. Property will never let you down.
I think that's the thing that, buyers like are so conscious, and I find this funny, and I don't know if you would see this, I'm sure. When they're going to buy a house, it's this indecision to buy. And for those of you tuning in today, you're probably thinking, oh, is that me? Yes, it's probably you. And that's okay. That's totally normal. When you got like...
It's everybody.
It's everyone. Because you're about to spend a whole crap load of money on a house and you want to make sure you got the right asset, that you're not making a mistake. But then what I find is when you find a house that remotely meets the criteria, all your due diligence and decision-making, all of a sudden, you just make the decision in 10 seconds and you buy it, and then you don't do all the checks, and then you start to have buyer's remorse. Yeah. So there's a fine line of just, we're going to talk in two parts. It's not just deciding to buy and buy anything. It's buying and then doing the right steps.
Yeah, well, mostly that they make that final decision out of frustration, and that I find that where a buyer's agent will pull you back. I had a client, they worked in Dandenong South, and they were looking in Rosanna.
Oh, yeah, it's fair way.
And I actually stopped them from bidding at one of the auctions, and we found them the perfect house for them around the corner from where they were renting.
Oh, far out.
I mean, it was a duplex, but it was just so nice for them as a couple.
Oh, but there's so much potential with duplex though, like that investment asset type in general. You could sublet. You could do a whole heap of things with that.
Absolutely. You could sublet. You can build, because it's on its own title. You can build extension.
Yep, 100%.
As long as there's room. So.
I like those anecdotes and those stories because they make a difference. And we're going to talk a bit about more of your business, Harry. Because fast forward to today, you've had your history, you've had your time. What do you specialise with Harry's Homes? Like, who are the people that you love to help most? Is it your owner-occs, your investors, or a bit of both?
A bit of both. Yeah. The owner-occupier gives me the greatest pleasure.
Yeah.
Because you know that they're going to sit in that house for 20, 25 to 30 years. Mm. The investor's looking for that, I've got to make $300,000 in 36 days,
Yeah, the tall order.
And puts a lot of pressure on you. I have done that with a couple of clients, but it can happen. It can be done.
Yeah.
But you've got to be patient as an investor, whereas an owner-occupier, there's only two reasons why they'll sell it. Is either they'll upgrade or the two Ds, divorce or death, will sell the property. So here's an example. My dad, no numbers, no figures, nothing, needed a 3-bedroom house, 1 bathroom, had it for 42 years after Mum passed away, paid $11,000, dollars or something, and sold it for 1.4 mil, right? And it was an outer suburb of Melbourne. I used to jump the fence and get the potatoes, and it was suburb was East Bentley.
Oh, beautiful.
Right, McKinnon Zone.
Yeah.
But how did those things happen? So time made it happen. Mm. So people say to me, what about the outer suburbs of Melbourne now? And I used to say no.
Yeah.
But I reflect on what my dad did, and if you've got the patience
to stick it out.
Stick it out.
And I think that all comes down to strategy, right? It's like you said, investors who come to you and say, I need to make $360K in 36 days, make it happen. It changes your decision-making of, well, where the hell are we going to buy and what are we buying?
Yeah.
Versus, and the strategy, are you going to do a reno? Are you going to do, like, how are you going to make those funds quickly?
How do you value add? And, it's value adding is a great way of making money out of property, but it's also you got to have the, knowledge and, it's no good conquering it yourself and plumbing it yourself, because I've seen a lot of people come unstuck.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of properties that, the whole backyard and front yard was concreted, and inside the kitchen was in the wrong place, it was just complete.
Yeah, the owner builder.
And shabby work and,
It's like there's things that you take risk on, things you don't. And I guess then, when you started, like what made you start Harry's Homes? Like, what was the why and the decision to kind of go, all right, I'm going to help other people now?
Well, I did it myself.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, well, a legacy for me would be someone to say that you bought this property for my family, and my kids are going to get it, and they've made money. That's where it's really, when they look back and say, who helped you? And it was Harry,
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, it's really I probably make more money cutting lawns. But, yeah, I mean, it can be a lucrative business, but I like to do it myself and do it right. So,
Yeah, of course. No, I love that message behind it, though. It's like, Harry, help me.
yeah.
A quick pause. We'll be right back. Here's a word from one of our sponsors who supports the show. Before you make any property move, you need to understand your borrowing power before you do anything else. Kieran Sood from Deals for Loans specialises in exactly that. She's a mortgage broker with an extensive amount of experience. She'll help with not only your home loans, but also asset finance. If you want to know what you can actually afford before you start looking at property and making the wrong decisions, have a chat with Kieran and her team at Deals for Loans. It costs nothing to pick up the phone and brokers are actually free. So give her a call. Her details are below. That's beautiful because it means a lot to people when I think, buyers that are listening, you know that I bang on about advocacy, I bang on about having a chat to these professionals because I really believe in what we do as a profession. We're there to support, we're there to help. And sometimes it can make a big difference in the fee that you have to pay the agent versus what you actually could save on a property. And
Absolutely. Or getting the wrong property and then have to sell it.
Yeah.
And then move closer to your work, or, you've got an open plan living and you haven't got it and got to walk through 3 bedrooms to get to the kitchen.
Sure. Yeah. The things you undervalue and underestimate until they actually happen, then you're like, this is shit.
Yeah. Till you start living in it.
And I guess, what do you reckon people most misunderstand about buyers advocacy or getting help? Where do you kind of find their hesitation most?
It's the value. They can't see the value in a buyer's agent.
Yeah.
Because they think that we're just going to pick a property, say, this is the one for you, buy it.
Yeah.
They don't realise that we've done probably 70 hours of research and ringing agents and getting off-market properties and making sure that we go to all the opens to make sure that, it's the right property. And then so, and also I find that when you're a buyer's advocate and you ring the agent, they give you the no bull.
Yeah, they do.
Right? They say, this is how much it's going to cost you, right? It's in our range. I think I can get across the line. Whereas when you're the purchaser and you're going to buy a property, they already know how much you want to spend before you even walked in the door because they ask you these right questions.
Yeah.
And they push you to your limit.
So and that's
they're working for the vendor. They're
Correct.
not working for you.
And they're selling. Their job is to sell a property. I'm an ex-real estate agent, and that's why I became a buyer's advocate because I had way too much sympathy for buyers. I was probably not doing my job, but it was a really hard moral compass.
Yeah.
As an agent, because you want everyone to win, but really your pay and your KPIs and your loyalty is with the seller. So for me to look at buyers who I know, probably need to know that the house is busted. There's actually a pipe that burst 6 weeks ago and we had to get it fixed and they did it themselves. There's all this information I know that I can't share. Now as an advocate, I love that, I was able to share that with my clients and go, nah,
absolutely. I had a client, she bought a property, right? The roof we got building and pest. I was able to negotiate $6,000 off the roof, right?
Yeah.
She hasn't fixed the roof yet, but we got the $6,000 discount, and the roof wasn't leaking. It was just not up to standard. So we got $6,000 off the roof. Well, that's a great help for someone starting off in property.
Yeah, and I think agents take you more seriously when you have those discussions in negotiations.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I know when I've watched family or friends try and they'll come. General, when you're an advocate and you got family, they come to you first and they go, hey, what should I do with this? And
even when they're not family.
Even when they're not family, that's so true. And then they get referrals and then they're like, I just want a question. And then it ends up being you're doing 20 hours of research and telling them what to buy and you're like, far out. But you're happy to help. And one of the things I've noticed is the due diligence portion or the negotiation side. They don't know what, a lot of common buyers don't know what they can negotiate with or they're too scared to because they think it loses the deal.
Yeah.
And what I think you have to understand is, probably for everyday buyers, agents can be ruthless. At the end of the day, when you're talking to the real estate agent, they can pretty much either steer like we used to take multiple offers in front of a vendor and say, here are 3 offers. That one has no conditions. Finance is still subject to, but they've offered a bigger price and we're confident on finance. This one, it's got 6 clauses. Think it's going to be a headache. They want a discount on the price. I'm not going to push it. Now, when you've got an advocate, all this negotiating is almost done before you even get to contract.
That's right.
It's like all the nuts and bolts are ironed out. And
we'll try and do before you. Well, it can get expensive on a building and pest inspection. So we negotiate with the building. If we get one, we'll try and get the discount on the next one and the discount on the one after. But we don't go to building and pest until we're 100% sure we've got the finance. So your finance clause is probably your most important clause, and then your building and pest is your second. But it's also how you word it on your contract. You can actually be caught if you don't word the contract correctly. So you can't pull out unless it's major structural. Well, what's major structural? The whole thing's fallen down, you know?
Yeah, it's like structure damage that is like I had this she came to me after she'd bought her own properties and she had to buy one for her downsizer, and she said to me, I'm not making a mistake. You're going to help. And I'm like, all right, done. What are we doing? And she told me her story, and she said, I actually did the typical. I went to an auction. I had, all the money in the bank, and this is probably maybe 10, 15 years ago. And she just went and bid at auction, did no due diligence, didn't do a building and pest, didn't even get a Section 32 review, just rocked up, made the bid, won. Then she did all the, steps. So then she went to the conveyancer, got the Section 32 reviewed, and found there was about $150,000 worth of damage in the cellar area.
Oh, okay.
And it was massive water damage.
Wow.
So she knew that was a cave-in. She goes, okay, that should be fine. But before that, then we had a flood. Then we had the heavy rains. That whole cellar area flooded. Cost her $200,000 to $300,000, and it wrecked her financially for a long time.
Yeah.
And she said, I can't make a mistake like that again, so I'm just going to trust a professional like you tell me what to look for, or you do it, or whatever you need to do.
And it's a hell of a responsibility for a buyer's agent.
Yeah, we have to take it so seriously.
Seriously, the pressure to get it right.
Yep.
I mean, I take everyone else's money like my own,
and
me being Greek, that's pretty tight. So, it really puts a lot of pressure on myself to make sure that I don't make a mistake. And I can't trust someone else to make the mistake. You know, how someone says, oh, I'm a buyer's agent, and then they sort of work it with somebody else. I can't do that.
No, we're control freaks.
Yeah, that's what I didn't realise until I became a buyer's agent. I was so bad.
Yeah, it's like, hang on. No, I don't trust you to do that research. Let me do it. And then you start being like, I'm so busy. It's like, why don't you get a VA? No.
Yeah.
They'll do a shit job. I don't care what you say. I'll train them. No, it doesn't matter. I have to do it.
That's right.
I'm not going to believe it until I see the numbers, because you're right. You're playing with a lot of money in that, it's someone else's money. It's a bit scary to get someone that says, I trust you to go and find me a house. And it's like, so when I see, the advocate like yourself that goes, cool, I'm going to take this really seriously. Let's look at all the checks. Let's do everything. That's what you kind of have to understand. We're working for you. We're not working for anyone else.
Yeah, and I don't take too many clients on at the same time. So there's limited spots.
Yeah.
I don't, spread myself too thin.
And you can't because then okay, cool. I served 5 clients. So what did you buy them? It's like you must have had some quick deals run through the door.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I do believe that, sometimes a buyer's agent can sort of say, I buy it off the plan and we won't charge you. But everybody's got to remind themselves that someone's getting paid from somewhere.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? So don't think that they're not getting paid.
Exactly. And this brings me to my favourite part of the segment, and it ties right in, which is Reddit Real Talk. So what you've just described, I guess, lines up closely with something that I want to bring into the conversation, because it shows the problem isn't isolated to a few people. This is like when it comes to advocacy and when it comes to indecisions, and why a buyer's advocate can help. So I came across this Reddit thread and I asked a simple question. How long were you looking for a home before you bought? So that was the post that was put on Reddit. 6 months was the pretty common answer. And a lot of people said 8 to 12 months. And then some even said 2 years. And what stood out to me was not just the time, but then their comments about how it drained them and the people that surrounded them. So I'm going to read out some of these comments, and I'm going to ask you some questions about.
Also breaks relationships.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, this is all what we're going to get into. So you ready to have a crack with me?
Yeah, I'm ready to have a crack at this question.
All right. So this first commenter, in reply to the post, and they said, there are no bargains. I see what you mean, but the people who buy after 2 years of searching for a bargain are just people who've taken 2 years to realise that they don't exist. So some people said they spent years looking for a bargain and eventually realised that they weren't waiting for prices to drop. They were waiting to accept reality on the price, right? So when someone says they're waiting for a bargain, what do you think they're actually waiting for?
They're waiting. Their mind is not ready to purchase. They're waiting for the actual,
like, perfect property. Is that?
Well, they're waiting for, I suppose, their wife to say yes.
It's a permission of some sort.
Yeah, some sort of permission. Their neighbour to say that was cheap. But there's a reason why a property's cheap. And, either the stumping's not right, the footings are incorrect, the brickwork's got cracks in it, the roof needs fixing, the kitchen's no good, the bathroom's got water in it. There's reasons why it's cheap, right? But it's not cheap when you start to fix it.
No.
It becomes dear. So, yeah, they're just waiting for the right time to, I just think that they're just not ready mentally.
So, and that mentality, like, how many of your clients have you seen when they come to you that they've already been on market for a long time before they engage?
I'd say 70, 80%.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how long have they been, like, if you had to average it, how long do you think they've been on looking before they've engaged you?
I'd say 6 to 8 months to find a property that they thought was the right one.
It's a long time.
Yeah, it is a long time. And I don't understand why they think that we're expensive in purchasing a property, because if you put that time at, let's say, $40 an hour, right, every weekend, fighting with their partner or their family about which is the right property, you put all that together and, we should be charging double. We save relationships.
Yeah.
Actually, I've got a client, he wants to buy a development property and she wants to buy a house ready, and they're miles apart. So I'm trying to get them to meet.
In the middle.
No, to meet and have a discussion about it.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I did not expect it to go there.
Yeah, to meet and have a discussion about it, because he's in the business frame of mind.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make a profit out of it. And she's in I got to make a nice picket fence house.
Yeah, okay.
Right? And all my friends are going to come and have a look. So they're two different spectrums of purchasing a house. Now, I've got a meeting next week with them, but she hasn't replied yet. So it's a worry.
Oh, God. I'm sure if anyone can, bring people together, it's you, Harry.
Marriage counsellor. I didn't think that was happening in property, but it does.
Oh, I call buyers advocates property psychologists, because you're often doing the emotional stuff, the property therapy stuff. Like, it's okay, we lost this one, we'll get the next one. There's so much reassurance and, confidence that you have to give.
Where he wants to buy, where she wants to buy, where the kids go to school.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting. And then there's a client that'll say, I don't really care. And that doesn't make sense to me neither. You've got to care about what you're spending your money on.
Yeah, true. It's like, I don't care, just buy it.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you know what I'm buying? What if it's shit?
Most investors just say, is the numbers right? I don't want to be negatively geared. I want to be positively geared. Find me something that's in this price range. Doesn't matter what state it's in. Make sure that I'm going to make 36 days, make $300,000. And, I'll buy it. But it doesn't work like that.
No, it's like the perfect scenario. If everyone could just go, oh, yeah, I would like to make that in 36 days. Could you find me the perfect address that'll do that?
I like the value adding on the properties that, the rooming house aspect and also the granny flat aspect. you know.
Granny Flat's a good one. There's also, there's another advocate that specialises in short-term stays, and she does like the Airbnb side, and she converted a really interesting house that I didn't think would, in the area in Geelong. I thought Geelong's not really like, I always associate holidays, but she was brilliant. She goes, no, you just have to pick your niche. She goes, the niche for that area for me is working professionals who have to travel to Geelong and stay in Geelong short time. And she goes, so I knew that there was a lot of people that come in and out of Geelong all the time. So that's who's booking her Airbnb. And I'm like, brilliant. Never
even myself wouldn't have thought of that. I didn't think professionals had that much time to stay down in Geelong. Well, if it's close to into the main area of Geelong, it would be quite interesting. You've got your nightlife and you've got your restaurants and that sort of thing.
But it's not even for the social side. It's like they are there, like tradies that are there for work who maybe don't have a company that comps their accommodation.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So they're just working, like to go, cool, I have to be in Geelong for 2 nights. I've got to stay down there. And she gets booked out all the time. And I'm like, unbelievable. I didn't even think that was a niche of people that would look at Airbnb.
Yeah.
Because you'd be surprised at, the locations that attract certain people. You don't just have to buy a house on the beach. So,
yeah, that's 100%. But I got a client that bought one in Dalesford.
Oh, Dalesford's beautiful.
And it's 4-bedroom, 3-bath. They built it. It was house and land, like a house. And then I got the actual builder to help them build. And they're renting it out 60% of the year, and 40% of the year they use it themselves, and they're just above neutrally geared. So, and that's what they wanted. They wanted to live in it, like go down there on weekends for themselves more than. So the Airbnb is helping them pay the mortgage.
See, all these ways to make money, but you don't know how to do them. You talk to an advocate about it. This is why I punched that home, okay? Because my mind opened up when I started investing, and then when I started looking at talking to all these professionals to show you guys on the podcast, and I'm like, far out, I'm learning so many ways that people do these strategies.
But having said all the strategies, and even my daughter, I said, don't buy off the plan and don't buy an apartment.
Mm.
So it was like saying buy an apartment and buy off the plan. So
yeah, kids do the opposite.
But she came out of New York and was quite happy with that lifestyle and worked in the city. So it was just like lifestyle thing. But still, that property in 7 years has not gone up. It's actually gone down. So,
sometimes you got to let them.
Promoting apartments, it's for lifestyle only, and not to make you any sort of money.
Yeah,
maybe in 70 years' time, good.
Mm.
When you're 75,000 kilometres from Melbourne.
Yep. The very long game.
Yeah, the long game.
But even my grandmother, she downsized and, she found an apartment, and I said I would never recommend an apartment unless it's for lifestyle. And I said, this is the end of your life. You're by the water. If you're happy.
I'm getting to that age now where I think, maybe a townhouse, but that's as far as I'm going to go.
Yeah, but you're still in property, right? And I said...
And then again, the price range is probably, that also attracts you to a townhouse. And you know what? It's a foot in the door.
That's right.
And a foot in the door is better than sitting on the sidelines.
100%.
The townhouses are still going up 4.3%, I think, is the numbers.
Yep.
Don't quote me on that because, but that's where...
The growth.
It's a start.
I think this is that.
You're not going to get your 7s and 8s and 9s, but it's a start in the door.
But this is the mentality of that I always talk about on this show with even our listeners. It's saying that you got to get away from the mentality of my first home. There's a lot of pressure I feel mentally around that term first home.
Well, I struggled with that with my wife.
Yeah,
we struggled on my first home. I found a 3-bedroom weatherboard for $38,000 in East Bentley in Deacon Street on 660 square metres when I first got married, and she didn't want to live in a weatherboard.
She didn't want to live in a weatherboard?
No. It wasn't
the thing?
No.
Not good enough?
And then we had a friend that bought in Clayton when he first got married, and he's laughing, so...
Far out. Well, we're getting sidetracked, but I love this conversation. These are the best kind of chats because they're organic and that we're just bouncing off each other. So I want to go to the next comment here. This next person wrote, they almost bought but held off. 6 to 9 months they were on market, and their advice was think about your non-negotiables. It will help you when you need to pull the trigger. So others said that they found places that ticked most boxes but didn't act because they weren't perfect. So how do you help people decide when something is good enough to move forward?
Okay, so we get a a for and against list.
Yeah. Ah, so pros and cons.
Yeah, pros and cons. And then we write the list down. What do you like about it? And then you ask the partner what do they like, and you work through the list. And, you know, I want the pool, I want the marble kitchen. So we can fix that.
Yep.
Over time. That can't be tomorrow, right? But these things we can fix over time.
It's interesting.
Right? So I want the, perfectly painted.
Yep.
Right? Well, painting's not much. We can fix that.
Yeah, true.
What we can't fix is the land size, the location, right? And the build structure, the exterior build structure, like the footprint.
Yep.
So it's a time thing. You know, we can do these things over time. That you need these things, fine. We haven't got the money to these things now, but we're going to have a little account where you put some money in to do it later down the track.
I think that's
You'll get
great.
an increase in income. I challenge my clients, you got one job, move forward and get another job. Always upgrade yourself.
Yeah.
Don't rest on, I'm going to spend 30 years at this, place. Always say, look for the next job.
Yeah, look for the next opportunity.
Increase your income. Work a part-time job to buy that extra thing that you need in that house.
I like that. I like that guidance because I think a lot of people, we get stuck in what we're comfortable in. So if you can't promote yourself any further in that industry or that job that you're in, so let's say you've gone to the top and it's still maybe like you're sitting at that 80, 90,000 a year in your 30s, and it's not bad, but then there's a lot of people your age that are on their 150s, 120s to 160s, 180s, depending on the job they're getting. So it's like, that constant improvement of you want a certain lifestyle or a certain goal with property, especially your wages have a very important part in that.
I don't say quit your job when there's you can move all the way to CEO in your job.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that if you're at the top of the industry where you are,
yeah,
what's the quickest way to go from A to B?
Yeah.
Right? My dad always said, buy a business. The business is probably going to make you, you don't get taxed the same way as you do as an employee.
Yeah, true.
Right? You've got a lot of give and a lot of expenses that you can claim.
That's true.
Whereas an employee, they just take your tax out and say, here you go.
Yep. Sometimes I miss that. Not. No, that's well answered, I think. And one of the things that I find interesting, hang on, I'll go back to this other comment I found because it was a good one. Where did I put it? Hang on. Where are we? I had this good comment. Oh, there. Okay. So, inspection fatigue. This was interesting. So this person wrote, I was on the market for 6 months or so. 6 months of swimming lessons and then house hunting every weekend. It fucking sucked. We'd make an offer and get outbid or didn't even bother as people were coming in over the asking price and just going nuts. So a lot of people talked about months of inspections, constant rejection, and how exhausting that process was. What does that level of fatigue do to someone's confidence when they then have to make a decision on property, buy or not buy?
It destroys them. And if you're going on the asking price, you really need to think of how you're going to auctions. You really have to think. So here's an example, right? We had a retro house in McLeod. Asking price was $750 to $850. Went to the auction, went to the open. There was probably 80 to 90 groups through. So I rang the agent. I know, this was huge. I rang the agent and I said, we're going to revise your asking price because that's ridiculous, right? He goes, yeah. So they put it up 100,000.
That's a big discrepancy.
100, hang on. I'm finished. Right? Went to the auction and I told my clients, I said, there was still 80 people at the auction. I posted the video, right? Anyway, I just couldn't believe it. We had 1.2 million to purchase, 1.220 million to purchase. I thought, we're most likely going to get this. At one point, it went 1.37, right?
Oh, fuck.
My clients were gutted.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But they were working in Dandenong.
Yeah.
So McLeod to Dandenong was an hour and 20 minutes
Yeah.
each way. So I was pretty happy we pulled out. And yeah, so look, the buyer's agent will find out really the price of the property before you even go to auction.
Yeah.
So it'll stop you from wasting your time.
Especially the you also go to the inspections. Like you'll decide what to inspect. Like you'll work with your clients, show them the properties, and then go to those inspections. So you're not the one. Like the buyer's advocate, you're not going to waste their time by saying, "Hey, I've inspected.
Let's go to this one. Let's go to this one. Let's go to this one." And I've used their Saturday and their Sunday and their private inspections Wednesday, Thursdays, and Fridays, and we still haven't got the property because we're 80,000 short.
Yeah.
You know, I do say if we were 8,000 short, go and find it.
Yeah, spot on.
Ask. Phone a friend.
Phone a friend, Eddie Maguire. Get him on the blower.
Yeah.
Well answered. And this last one is, this person wrote, it took years to accept the market. So it took them 1.5 years as first home buyers to find a property. Took us way too long to accept that places were always going to be 200K over listed price. So we just had to readjust what we thought we could afford. So some people said it takes more than a year just to accept what prices actually are at the time that you enter the market. At what point, or at that point, how do you tell whether someone genuinely needs to pause or whether they're just stuck?
So it's cost them about, if they had went into the market at their price that they've got and bought the property, by the time 18 months went by, they've just done themselves out of $70,000, right? So it's cost them, not only have they tried to find a property that didn't fit their purchasing price, they've also found out that the property that they could afford has now cost them $70,000 more.
Oh, my God.
So in the end, lost opportunity has cost them not only a better house and a better location, because they've got to rethink it, has also cost them equity.
Precious time, equity.
Yeah, time, equity, stress. Yeah, so that's where the buyer's agent comes in and says, look, guys, you're not going to find the property that you're looking for at 800.
Yep.
Let's go 750. I'm not saying go 720. Let's go let's look around at that price and see if we can negotiate the 15,000.
Yep.
But in a hot market, it's really hard to negotiate the 15,000 unless you have all your ducks in a row.
Oh, yeah.
And go, bang, here's the money. I don't want building invest. I don't need finance clause. I don't need anything. I just want a 30-day settlement and purchase the property. So you're hitting the nail on the head, and the vendor likes that. He's pretty happy. The agent likes that because he's going to get paid pretty quickly.
Yep.
So they promote it.
And then the other part is then you haven't done your due diligence.
No, you do your due diligence before.
Oh, so you take that punt on, go get the Section 32, pay for that if you have to, and then
go
the building and pest.
Yep. Do that. Do your insurance, then make your offer before the auction. Friday night, 3 o'clock. And the auction's
for
5
auction,
o'clock.
yeah, absolutely have to. Yeah, that's the only way to go about it, in my opinion. Otherwise, you're going to miss out or get really shot in the foot like my old client.
Yeah, but the thing is, a lot of people say, oh, I'll go to the auction, I can get it $5,000 cheaper.
How?
I said, you're taking a punt that you're going to pay $15,000 more. Let's make an offer. And normally the agent says, oh, I had 72 people through, I'm not taking any offers. Or they say, well, your contract's crystal clear.
Yeah. So spot on. I think that. Thank you for playing with a Reddit segment with me, because our fans send these in and then we try and address them on the air when we get them.
Excellent. I'd like to read more of those.
Yeah, we got a heap. So there's interesting ones. I'll point them. I'll send you a little dump after this. Okay, here you go. This is what we get. Maybe you can actually help with the inquiries. So we like to address them on the air. This next segment is, I guess, what stands out to me for those comments that we just had is no one said that I'm scared. They're all very reasonable, logical explanations on why they're waiting. But then I think a lot of that is the mentality, like you said earlier.
20 years, 100%.
It's just stopping you.
100%.
And
the fear factor's huge.
Well,
you're talking, 800,000-900,000 and you're putting yourself in a mortgage for 25 years.
That's fair.
It's fair enough comment.
Yeah.
But if you've got someone holding your hand, like, granddad over here, he'll help you through that stage.
Do we get to call you Papu at least?
Yeah, well, actually, that is my name, actually, for my grandchildren.
I can imagine. Yeah. Just like nonno and nonno
Yeah,
ours.
that's it.
And that fear factor is exactly this next segment, what I want to talk about. I want to read out a few of these reasons that I have read or come across from buyers. And I want you to tell me honestly whether they're legitimate, so legit, or fear.
Oh,
And tell us why. So I'm going to read out the comment. You're going to tell us if it's legit or if it's fear.
So you're going to say if it's bullshit or not?
Yeah, correct. So
Okay.
just rapid fire and a quick understanding of why. So this first one is, if I was a buyer, I've said I'm waiting for prices to drop. Legit or fear?
Fear.
Why?
Never going to drop.
Yeah, true. History of market. A quick pause. We'll be right back. Here's a word from one of our sponsors who supports the show. If traditional networking feels stiff and transactional, then Lux VIP is something completely different. Good food, good people, real connections, and genuinely fun events that stand out from the usual business crowd. If you want networking done differently or just want to have a bit of fun and meet the right people that will help bolster your business forward, then come along to Lux VIP events. Talk to Steve McMiniman. His details are in the show notes below, and he's the one who runs Lux VIP events. Come and have fun with us. I'm part of the crew, and so are all or most of our guests. So come and have fun with us. We'll see you there.
If you look at the last 30 years, I think it's dropped twice. And I can go back to 1987, or a stock market crash. 1990, high interest rates. We had a year and a half of the high interest rates, 21%. Right? I was in that, guys. So,
this
all
must
right,
be
houses
like
were cheaper.
rookie.
I get it. Wages were, I get it. Okay, whatever you want to throw at me, because I have this conversation with my children. But in the end, right, you're not going to wait for that stock market or that crash to buy. You can do that in the stock market because historically it's 5 years it crashes. Every year it adjusts 10%.
Yeah.
Right? That's historically, but it still keeps going up.
Yeah.
Right? So you'd be a better man than 100% of the population if you can pick it correct.
Pick a crash. Yeah.
Pick that crash.
It's like everyone who could.
If you got, I think it's about 15 or 20 years in between each of those crashes. Or adjustments. I call them adjustments, not crashes, because they just keep going up.
It's true. It's like no one predicted COVID would actually be good for the real estate market when it happened.
COVID, my crystal ball went straight out the window.
Correct. Yeah. It was like, oh, don't worry about that. We're buying. Like we all thought it would be different. I always go back to that example and I always say, in these scenarios, if you could have predicted COVID and purchased in that market.
Here's something that I've learned over my 40, 50 years of watching this property market, right? You've got a flat market like Adelaide for 14 years, right? Didn't do a thing. And it's like a volcano. It pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed, and then it exploded.
Yeah.
Perth, the same. 2014 to 2019, nothing happened. In fact, if you bought after 2014 in Perth, you had to wait to 2021 before it became the same price.
Yeah, right.
And now it's doubled, right? So in a short period of time. But it was all that compression that made the volcano of property explode. Brisbane. No one wanted Brisbane.
Yeah.
I think I bought my house for $473,000 in Brisbane, in Banyo.
Oh, nice.
Right? No one wanted. I waited 5 years and nothing happened.
Yeah.
Now look.
Yeah, now you can put it on the market if you want.
Sydney. Now, everyone thinks Sydney, explode.
Yeah.
2009, after the GFC, 2008 to 2017, nothing happened.
Yeah.
Right? No one wanted, all the investors didn't want Sydney. And they got out. So here's the clue. Here's a little tick. What's Melbourne doing? It's getting that volcano explosion. So I'm not saying it can happen tomorrow because we've got a few government problems, but it'll happen because construction's too dear.
Yeah.
Where are you going to build 65 k's out of Melbourne?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well said. Well put. Good answer. This next one, the most common reason is I don't know enough yet. Legit or fear?
Fear.
Fear.
Fear. How long does it take you to read? How long does it take you to get on a podcast?
Yeah.
you really want to learn about it, you'll learn about it quickly.
Yeah.
Right? If you want to make money, you'll learn about it. That's fear.
Yeah.
That's just an excuse.
I like that. And these are hard truths that people need to hear. What about this one? This is interesting. I'm not ready. Legitimate or fear?
When will you be ready?
Ah. Yeah, I didn't know how you'd go with that one.
Yeah. So what's your time frame? Okay. Yeah, I understand.
Mm-hmm.
Will you be ready in 12 months, 24 months, or 27 years?
Yeah.
When is you going to be ready? And I can understand you're not ready.
Yeah.
You give me a time when you're ready.
Yeah.
And I'll give you a call.
You heard it, guys.
If I'm alive.
Yeah, don't wait too long. Thank you for playing that little rapid fire with me, because I think they're just common ones that everyone says, and you've actually answered them so well. And before we wrap up and go to our last, segment for the day, I want to ask I guess if people can recognize themselves in what we've talked about today, like these reasons for, being stuck, or maybe the obvious question becomes like, what do I do next then? Like, okay, I've listened to this. What do I do next? When they realize they're stuck, and maybe it's because of this episode, I hope.
I hope so too, because it's pretty hot in here.
It is bloody hot. What's the first move you want them to take after they've heard this episode, like to break that indecision or create momentum?
Have a chat with somebody that actually got more properties than the guy that's bought one over 50 years.
Yeah.
Right. So have a chat with someone. It doesn't have to be a buyer's agent. Just have a chat with someone that's bought 5, 6, 7 properties. And if you notice, that's only about 3% of the investors.
Yeah.
That have bought that many properties. Normally it's the mum and dad that's bought 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And then they stop. I understand that APRA wasn't around when I was purchasing those amounts of property.
Yeah.
But there is ways around serviceability, and that needs a special type of person to help you through that.
Mm.
And so just have a chat. I mean, how much is it going to cost you to have a chat?
Probably nothing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Don't be afraid to have a chat. And if he annoys you more than once, if you say to him, I don't want to move forward, and he rings you again, hang up on him.
Yeah. All right. Hang up on Harry. But no, seriously, I always say that at the end of every episode, and it's spot on advice. Like, it costs nothing to pick up the phone and have a chat and just get the next step.
That's right.
So if all of you listening, tuning in today are thinking, oh, okay, face your fears.
Yeah.
What's the worst that's going to happen by picking up a phone call? Might not suit you. You might hear something you don't want to hear. That's okay. You're not ready, whatever. But you've got a step.
You find the person that fits your personality is probably the most important thing. So and fits the way you're thinking as well. But have a chat with somebody. It doesn't have to be a buyer's agent. It doesn't have to be if you're going to have a chat with a real estate agent, I'll just advise you that they're not got your best interest in mind.
Mm.
There's a few that do.
Yeah.
But so they got the seller's property in mind for you.
Yeah, spot on.
There's only one thing I'd like you to take away from this. Buy land. The most amount of land you can buy. Don't buy the new kitchen. Don't buy the painting. Don't buy the new bathroom. Buy the land. They're not making any more.
I love it. Thank you so much, Harry, for being here. Before we sign off, let's go back to the statement. It feels like a good moment for it. So at the start of the episode, we read out our no BS statement for the day, and it was, if you're waiting for the perfect property, the perfect time, or perfect confidence, you'll be waiting forever. Indecision costs more than getting it wrong. After everything we've talked about today, Harry, do you reckon that's bullshit or not bullshit?
Indecision about getting it wrong.
Indecision costs more than getting it wrong.
Absolutely.
So that's no bullshit.
What do they say? High tide lifts all boats. So even if you've got the wrong boat, you'll be able to get out of the bay. So even if you got it wrong and you didn't get a buyer's advocate and you brought in the neighbours screaming at you with 3 dogs and all the things that can happen to you in property, if you just bought and sat and waited, you'll make money out of it.
Great way to end it. Harry, thank you so much for being on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you today.
Have a great day. Thanks, Joe, for having me.
Of course. Now, before we wrap up, here are the key takeaways from today's episode. Waiting is normal. Staying stuck is not. Confidence doesn't come before action. It comes after. Your first property doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to move you forward. And indecision has a real cost, even if you don't see it straight away. So if you're listening to this episode and it hit close to home, it costs nothing to pick up the phone and have a chat, as me and Harry have both said. So if you want to chat to Harry or talk through your situation, work out your next steps, reach out to him at Harry's Homes. The information is on screen as well as in our show notes today. And there's no pressure, just clarity. So if 2026 is the year you want to stop waiting and actually make something happen, start your conversation. Harry, thanks again for being here.
Have a great day. Thanks for having me.
Of course, and you're welcome back at any time. That's today's episode. If you know someone who's been looking for a while, send this one their way. This is the No BS Real Estate Podcast. We'll catch you next time. That's a wrap for this episode of the No BS Real Estate Podcast, powered by Abodi AI. If you found this conversation helpful, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who might need it. If you're looking for more guidance on your home buying journey, you can visit www.abodi.com.au for expert advice, property insights, and the tools you need to find the right home with confidence. If you're already on your journey, you can also download our app. Just search Abodi AI on the App Store or Google Play. Have any questions or want to connect, you can follow us on Instagram at abodi.com.au or send us a message. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next episode.